Hi, have you heard the terms pivot and new normal so much in the last year that you're almost sick and tired of them? Are you looking and struggling to find out new ways to discover new directions and new focus and even new careers? We've got a great guest. His name is Cedric Newbern. So let's get into the show. So before we get into the show, let's pull out this one page we have for you. Is my resource page. If you're looking to create a live stream, if you're looking for more information, if you're just struggling to be looking more professional in all of your meetings, I have this great resource. It's called our on-camera playbook. So check it out, BSVP/resource, bsvp.com/resource. Thank you much. And here is Cedric. How you doing?
Great. How are you, Bruce?
Good. So it's been a while since we've last talked. Yeah. We used to hang out all together every Thursday in our networking group, and we've kind of actually went new directions and in a while.
I moved to warmer weather.
So you're not in Libertyville, Illinois anymore?
No, believe it or not, almost 2 years ago now, we moved back to Nashville. Nashville, Tennessee is home.
Okay.
That's where I'd grown up. And once we sold our business, we said, well, why are we still in Illinois besides having some amazing friends and great relationships there? We thought it's probably time to get back home so we can be closer to family, and saw an opportunity to do so, and moved down Memorial Day weekend, 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you moved just in time. Actually, I think there is some, or is that, I actually meant to wear my TSU hat. I forgot to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Because my nephew went to TSU.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah. My mom just retired from Tennessee State. So we're definitely back home and enjoying it. And especially knowing all the snow that's been happening up in the Midwest. And right now we're just dealing with cold, but nothing like what it was. So
to you, cold is what, 50 degrees?
Yes. Well, today I think they actually closed school today because it was light rain last night, and the temperatures got below 32. So they closed the schools because of fear of ice. That's really what we deal with here in Nashville, more so than anything. It's not snow. It tends to be freezing rain and ice.
Because you're right on the border there between 30 and 32.
Yes. And lots of hills and curves. So the school buses aren't able to travel.
So, but as a native Chicagoan, you can easily traverse the traffic.
Yes. It's actually kind of funny. I spent 10 years in Chicago, and I'd say that taught me so many lessons. A, how to drive in traffic, and B, how to deal with inclement weather. So it's so far since we've been here, there hasn't been any accumulation of snow, but definitely had to learn how to navigate traffic because Nashville has grown so much in the last several years that traffic is ridiculous now. It's not like the Dan Ryan, but it's definitely getting really bad here.
Yep. So you basically reinvented yourself, because I know prior to owning your agency, and you were an all-state agent.
Yes.
Being in good hands.
Yes.
You actually work for the headquarters in marketing.
Yes.
So how has your career path gone? Has it pretty much been a straight line, or has it been really wiggly?
I don't know that you can even describe it as wiggly, Bruce. It's been all over the place. Prior even to coming to Allstate corporately, I was working in nonprofit. So just imagine I started out in nonprofit. I moved to for-profit where I'm doing marketing in a regional office. Then I moved to the corporate office, which for anyone that works for a large corporation, you know that working in the field versus working in a home office environment can be totally different, like a totally different work environment. And then I became an entrepreneur. I bought an Allstate agency, and we ran that agency for almost 9 years. So it definitely has been, I don't even know if you call it a zigzag, because it seems like things have gone this way. And now I've gone back to working in a nonprofit. So shortly after selling the agency, I was the chamber executive for the Lake County Chamber. And then when we moved here to Nashville, I became the operations director for the Center for the Public Trust, which is a nonprofit or arm of the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy. So you talk about, and my wife and I literally had this conversation just days ago, and she and I were kind of talking about life and career, and I think just amazing how, those moments that you might experience something, you might get this opportunity, you never know what that opportunity could lead to, because there's some things that are happening that I can't really talk about just yet, but some really cool things that are happening in the next several months that literally I got the training that I needed to be effective with this 3 years ago when I was working with Mundelein High School. so I definitely encourage people to pay attention and be in the moment and learn all you can.
Yep.
So just do a quick change on my microphone here. So yeah, I think I've experienced the same thing where in my beginning of my life, I was into radio and television and then moved into marketing. Mm-hmm. And now with this company, we're kind of combining those two, and the fact that video has taken up so much everywhere. Yes. It's one of those skills that whether you're starting as an accountant or as a lawyer, you'll still need to understand video.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a marketing consultant, I constantly tell my clients, you've got to build video. You've got to get video out there, because that's really what, right now, at least, especially with social media, that's what seems to be trending. That's what seems to be getting the visibility. So kudos to you for stepping out there and jumping in the video.
So I was looking on your website, and I noticed a few things. One is your book, which I got here, which actually was part of the introduction when we first kind of met. That's and you actually brought in a celebrity to talk about his background and because this book is about fatherhood. Yes. And your relationship with your father. And we actually have the link on our YouTube channel. I think it's on your YouTube channel, shared to mine. Yes. And I'll put a link in the show notes for that. But how did you make that transition, or resolving your differences between your father?
Okay. So the book is called Unconditional Forgiveness: Lessons on Letting Go to Build Better Relationships. And the true story is this. I like to tell people, I wish I could say that I had some divine wisdom at age 18 that allowed me to forgive my dad. But quite honestly, growing up, my dad and my mom divorced when I was less than a year old. My dad moved to Los Angeles, and my mom and I moved back to Nashville because they were married and living in Washington, D.C., which is where I was born. And so I was less than a year old when they divorced. And I spent summers and holidays, visiting. But when I turned 18, I said to my dad, hey, man, I forgive you. I can't imagine what it was like being a young 20-something-year-old, African-American for that matter, in Washington, D.C. in 1971. Like, there was a lot going on in America at that time, and they were struggling. So I told him, man, I forgive you for not being there while I was growing up. And he forgave himself. And I remember that moment as my wife and I, who also had moved from Tennessee to the DC area and were then pregnant with our son, Matthew. And I started to see the parallel of my life and my dad's life. And I remembered that conversation with my dad and said, wow, can I truly be a good father? What's that going to take? And I started thinking, what can I do to help other men understand the need to be in their children's lives, and also to help moms who unfortunately are not able to engage the fathers in a way that those kids can still have the best opportunity for success. And again, I'm not saying that you have to have a father in your life, but I think that there's so much value that comes from having male and female mentors that help guide young people in their day-to-day. So my relationship with my dad is the best. I actually talked to him late last night. We typically don't go a week without at least having some in-depth conversation. And it really was just me saying to him, hey, Dad, I forgive you, and him forgiving himself. And now, here we are, 30 years later, almost 40, 30 years later, where, he is truly my best friend. And we talk to each other about everything. He gives me advice. I give him advice. And
I'm sorry, you were going?
No, and I was going to say, and really recounting all of that and realizing that I actually, believe it or not, the day before my son turned 9 months old, which was when my parents split, the day before Matthew turned 9 months old, I was on a flight being relocated to Chicago to take the corporate job in DC, in Chicago, and my family was left behind back east. And I thought, man, I need to write this in a book. And so that's what kind of started the idea. But then it took me a couple of years before I actually put pen to paper and published the book.
So you've got a couple books. I noticed on the cover of this one, you have your son on it.
Yes.
You wrote a second book as well. He's on the cover of that one as well.
Yes.
So is he getting the residual income from your sales?
He gets full income. He and Denise do a great job of managing the funds that come through the house. So, but it's really fun. He just turned 13, believe it or not, Bruce. He is literally just about my height. So he's not the little fellow that you might remember from years ago. And I think for him, it is a moment of pride when he does see people talking about the book, or he looks at the cover and we remind him of what happened at that photo shoot. And actually, Bruce, I have to tell you, that other kid is not my son. So he's actually only on one cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your son's on so this isn't your son, this is a stand-in?
No, that's my son on that cover.
Okay.
The other book, Letters to My Son.
Yeah.
That's actually me as a child.
Okay.
That's me sitting at my desk when I was about 7 years old.
So in this time of reflection where people have pretty much either been laid off or are in career changes,
mm-hmm.
And they have a lot more time on their hands, I've noticed a lot of people are starting to write their own books.
Yes.
And so what is the value that you see in writing your book? And do you have any guidance on what kind of book people should be writing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny you ask. I am currently working with about 7 authors. So when I wrote my book and started to publish the second book, the first book was self-published, and then I created a publishing company for the second one. And then the third and the fourth were all published under that imprint. And I kept getting questions from people saying, hey, I want to publish a book. What does that look like? So that's what made me say, well, why don't I expand this and open the opportunity to help others? And I'm currently working with 7 different authors, children's books to fictional books, you name it. And again, to your point, because of the pandemic, a lot of people have been sitting. They've got a little, I wouldn't say extra time, but the time that they have now, they can see themselves doing other things. And so they've picked up the book that they started. They picked up some of the concepts and ideas and said, it's time for me to get this out there. And so what I would say is, if you are interested in writing a book, do it. There is, especially if the book is talking about your life and some of the challenges that you might have faced. For me, writing a book is very much a healing process. Putting it on paper allows you to, in many ways, let go of whatever pain that you might have been experiencing. And then also, not to mention, you don't realize your story can impact other people. I love the analogy of dropping a pebble into a stream, and it creates waves that ultimately can move things around. And so that's why, to me, I think writing a book is very important. If you've got the time, and believe it or not, there are resources out there. You could come to us. We can help you. If all you have are recordings or audio recordings, we can transcribe that into an actual manuscript and help you get that book published.
Yeah, so I brought up the page here, which is on your website, which is cedricnewberg.com. And this is page, you just click on 111 Publishing. We'll take you to this page. It'll give you some guidance there. So again, what is the advantage of having a book? I've heard it's like a glorified calling card. Other people say it's kind of everybody has everybody has a book, a marathon, and something else in them, or something
Yeah,
like
I don't know. I've always heard you want to write a book, plant a tree, and there's a third one. Again, I can't remember that one, but they're all things. And if you would bring back up the screen, I want to talk specifically about one book that I did. So you asked a question, how are they used? So there's a few books on here. Obviously, you can see there's a couple of children's books at the very top. But then there's some other people that have written books like the one to the far right, I think where your mouse is, the Courage to Keep On. That book was written about by a lady who found out about her grandmother and her story of coming to America. And that was such a powerful book. And she was able to connect with people in the Northeast to get all the data around her family that she may not have known. She didn't know prior to that. Just beside that is a field guide. That's actually a workbook that a consultant uses. She's a powerful lady. She's got this incredible following on social media, and it's called Working Single Mom. And my goodness, she's got hundreds of thousands of people following her. And so she uses that to help motivate her audience. And then if you scroll down just a little bit more, she also has a book called Practical Change. And if you scroll back to the very top, there's one young man I want to highlight. This young man, Fletcher Cleaves, was in a car accident when he was 18 years old. Just imagine this athletic kid was going to start playing football in college, had earned a spot on the team. He was a wide receiver. And one night he's driving home, and he and one of his teammates and a distracted driver swerved into his lane. He went off an embankment and ended up paralyzed. And this young man, he tells his story of, the accident, the rehab, and then how he has really grown his brand as a speaker and as a traveler. He loves, literally, he just got back from a trip not long ago where there's video footage of him being thrown off of a cliff into a body of water. And most people would think, well, if I'm paralyzed, I can't travel. If I'm paralyzed, I could never go cliff diving. And he's like, yes, you can. He said, he says the sky is not the limit. So he is using his book, much like I did, to get speaking engagement. So people get a little notoriety from the book, and they say, well, we want to hear more about your story. And that's, to your point, it's an expensive business card, but a much more impactful business card because people typically don't throw the book away.
Right. Well, again, once you leverage the power of that book to get your speaking engagements, I know we had a guest on last year who was saying how he gave like 1,000 speeches for free before he started actually getting paid for speaking. And now he is a member of the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Yes. And I can tell you, Bruce, I've done that. I've given a lot of free speeches. I DJ as well for fun. So I would DJ for free. Just, again, you've got to get your name out there. But now I definitely get paid to speak and I get paid to DJ. And that's part of it. You have to build your brand.
Yep. And I guess that is the key. Getting back to our original conversation about changing careers and changing businesses, we talk about personal brand and business brand. And there's a lot of people who are using social media, but they're just posting for fun and for entertainment. And they're not really building up a personal brand. And especially if you're in a company or in a position like sales and you move from one business to another business, or even if you're in hairdressers, if you're moving from one company, from one salon to another salon, you're creating your own personal brand.
Yes.
So that your people follow you, because a number of times if you just go into like a discount hair place, I just want a haircut. And you get whoever's available for that day, they cut your hair and you're out of there. And you don't create a relationship with them.
Absolutely.
And so that person is just transactional.
Absolutely.
So I think as far as the book and as far as the career and as far as your branding goes, you want to build those relationships so that they follow you personally and not the business itself.
Absolutely. I often tell clients or people that reach out to me for advice, I will tell you, one of my mentees for over 30 years now, she always teases me as being the master at reinventing myself and my career. And I told her, I said, you know, the one thing that and I tell others is, to your point, branding, personal branding, you've got to figure out what is your theme, what is going to be your focus in life. For me, it's all about helping people grow. I want to be known as someone that helps people, helps them grow. And it's whether that's helping them grow their business, helping them grow their mindset. If they've got some challenges in life, I am here to help them grow. And not to mention, if I'm DJing, I'm still helping you grow because you're getting in some exercise. So if you've got that common theme, it's easier for you to move from company to company, from business to business industry to business industry, from nonprofit to for-profit, back to nonprofit. It makes it a lot easier. And I think, and yes, if you looked at my social media, although I do believe my wife is watching now, so quite often we'll run into people and they'll be like, "Oh my goodness, I know you because I've seen your post on, Cedric posted you on Facebook." Well, the fact is, I probably post my wife and my son maybe 2-3 times a year. But the rest of the time, I'm posting motivational posts. I'm sharing ideas and concepts to help people grow. But it is the personal stuff that I think people gravitate to. That's the post that gets the most likes. But when you are branding yourself as who you are, that makes it much easier. I will tell you, I've got a Facebook page called Unconditional Forgiveness, and I'm kicking myself because I started the page off with the name of the very first book, not thinking that I would write other books. And so now I'm over 20,000 followers on that page, and I don't want to change the book. I got 3 other books out. I've got a couple of ebooks that I've co-authored with a friend. I've got a Cedric Newburn page, but again, it's small in comparison to the Unconditional Forgiveness page. So you want to make sure that you think through your personal brand and own it and be okay with it. And the other thing I would say too, Bruce, a lot of people get stuck. A lot of people think, well, because I'm doing this, I can't do that. No, people want to see their real estate agent have fun, right? Now, I would caution you from going down those slippery slopes of voicing your political, religious opinions on things. But if you show that you are a person, that you know how to have fun, that you also give advice and support others, then by all means, that's what people are looking for when they're looking at social media for brands, for personal brands, that is.
So we got a lot of people watching. So if you want to just put in the comments where you're watching from, if you have any questions for Cedric, please put those in the comments as well. Thank you very much. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel and share it out. If you haven't already shared, if you're enjoying what you're watching, if you're getting value from this, definitely share it out to your connections. So as far as making a little bit of pivot here, one of those words, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you shared this out to anybody in your family, but I guess maybe I was going to ask you about what you were planning on Valentine's Day for your wife.
Yes.
But let's talk about your son. What is he planning for Valentine's Day for your wife?
You know what? He gets this gene from me. Unfortunately, we like to do things last minute. There's nothing like having a limited choice option, so to speak. When you go into the store and there's only a few things left, it narrows it down for you, so you don't get so confused. So I will have that conversation with him. But he's actually been pretty good about being thoughtful and saying these are the things I'd like to do. But I do know that mom is watching. She sent me a text a minute ago, so I don't want to spill the beans. He might also be watching. So we will definitely huddle up and figure out what we're going to do for mom for Valentine's Day. We in this house, though, Valentine's Day is definitely special. That Denise and I celebrate it as one of our milestone moments in our relationship. But really, we focus more on birthday. Birthday and Christmas tend to be our big holidays. Valentine's Day tends to be more of dinner and some chocolate or something like that. But yeah, I'm excited. I even wore my red Valentine's.
Yeah, I think I'm all in black today. I think usually my colors have been blue because that's our brand color.
Yeah, right.
But you can just you can wear blue just so much. I think I just bought a shirt that had a little bit of red in it because my wife's been complaining I need to add more color to my life.
I think that's a common theme of wives, by the way. So and what my wife did early on is she started buying clothes for me because she didn't like that I consistently picked out certain colors. So she would always go and buy it for me. And so now my closet is a lot more colorful than it was when we first started dating 17, 18 years ago now.
Wow. So we're wrapping this up real quick. If you haven't written this down, cedricnewburn.com, there's more to the website. You have so much information to offer. You're billed pretty much as a author, speaker, coach, trainer, and Maxwell, was it John Maxwell trainer?
Yes.
And I also understand you gave a TED Talk.
Yes, I did. Thanks to an incredible neighbor, a couple of incredible neighbors. They were hosting a TEDx event in Lake Villa for students, and they asked me to come and talk. And man, what an exciting moment to stand up, on the red circle with TEDx behind me. That was really, really fun. And I often joke about the fact that I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And frankly, that gives me the space to explore new things. And if I were to leave you guys with a tip today, number one, think about what is it that you really love to do and why? And then figure out, two, is there a way that you can make money doing that? Mm-hmm. Or is there so is it a fee that you might charge, or is it something that someone might sponsor you to do? Say, hey, I'd love to get more of that. And then thirdly, you really just have to make a plan, because I can't tell you how many conversations I've had just this week alone about people, and it's only Thursday, people that were upset or frustrated or not necessarily happy in their job. And I'm like, well, are you doing really what you enjoy doing? My day, every day I wake up, I get to do what I like. Now, there are some things I don't like about my job or working with a client, etc. But the majority of what I'm doing throughout the course of my day is really around what I enjoy doing the most. It's what I'm gifted at doing. And so I would say, if you don't know what that is, pay attention, because people have already told you, you know what, you're really great at this. You know what, when you do this, it really makes a difference for me or means something. Have you ever considered, I know my wife is listening, so I won't go into our conversation, but my wife is extremely creative. And I think she has some gifts beyond what she does today. And hopefully one day she'll be brave enough to jump out there and explore, because seriously, when it comes to decorating houses or camera work, she's a photographer, dressing me, making me look better. She's good at all of those things. And I think when you find what you're good at and what people compliment you the most for being or doing, that's where you find your passion.
And so again, if you want to reach out to Cedric for any help with, I guess, business coaching, with life coaching, or if you have that book in you, and I've got that book in me. I started 3 books so far.
Okay.
Have not finished one yet. One of them is based on my speeches, where I just took my presentations. I've got like 6 hours of presentations and just exported the audio out. Okay. And now you got to rewrite it into a readable format as opposed to a speaking format.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then again, there's also my life story, which going to be related to marketing and video, and how people can break out of their comfort zone to do something like this, because I've discovered that 85% of people who do public speaking are introverts.
Yes, that's so true.
And they have that fear of speaking, and yet they overcome that fear because they are comfortable with who they are and what they have to say.
Absolutely. One of the things I teach young people all the time when I'm asked about speaking, I say the fact is, you know more about what it is you're going to say than anyone else in the audience listening. And when you walk in with that kind of confidence, you can be more forgiving of yourself, because a lot of times you freak out thinking, oh no, I forgot to say this. Well, the audience didn't know.
Right.
And to your point, introverts are beyond successful. And I think it's time that we stop boxing people into extrovert versus introvert. Introverts are very successful in business, especially as entrepreneurs, because they think a lot more than extroverted people who tend to just go and act. And so, yes, you are dead on. And if you want to finish your book, you let me know. Because one of the things, Bruce, that I figured out was it's not about me and my branding. I've actually expanded now to help authors create their own publishing company. So now, you'll see, instead of 111 Publishing, there are now 4, 5, 6 other publishing businesses that have been created over the last few months as we're wrapping up the books that these authors have been working on. So I'd love to help. And if you've got a business idea as an entrepreneur, those are things I love to talk about as well. So definitely reach out. And
that's definitely offered to anybody who's watching this as well. Reach out to Cedric.
Absolutely.
So great having you. It's been fantastic. Again, if you haven't yet subscribed and follow us, please do so. And we'll put the links into the chat. Here you go. If you're on Facebook, it'll be just general links. But if you're on YouTube, we're going to put a link to Cedric's YouTube channel over there and my YouTube over here. And please subscribe and share. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great seeing you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.